Hey everybody, Will Hamilton here, bringing you this look at the Wimbledon final. We've got Novak Djokovic versus Rafael Nadal. I'm very excited for this match. I think it's going to be a great one, hard one to pick. So what we're going to do is talk about the tactics I expect to see in this match, what both players need to do to win, and at the end of the video, I'll make my prediction on who I think is going to pull it out. So let's give this a little bit of context, because Novak has beaten Rafa the last 4 times they've played, and the main exchange that I think tilted the matchup in Djokovic's favor is the backhand-to-backhand exchange. Now, these icons, circles the player, stick is the side they're hitting on. This is a backhand for a righty. This is a backhand for a lefty up here. They're not tennis rackets. I know that's led to a little bit, the icons are not tennis rackets, which I know has led to a little bit of confusion. So you would get this, marker fail. You would get this down the line backhand-to-backhand exchange here. And these little hash marks would be the standard depth these two guys are at during that baseline rally, right? When, for example, if Rafa's up here and he gets a hold of his backhand like he wants to, then Djokovic is going to hit at this depth. And then when Novak gets a hold of his backhand like he wants to, Rafa will hit at this depth. Now, I had said in a previous video that the battles between these two in terms of court positioning was not so much lateral. Both guys are trying to get each other off the court, but that process actually starts with the vertical battle. And what would happen with these down-the-line backhand-to-backhand exchanges, to show you how this works, is Djokovic's backhand is a little bit better than Rafa's. So Rafa was more inclined to not hit an ideal, quote-unquote, backhand, a little bit short. Djokovic was able to step in and then crack the ball into the open court, get Rafa on the run to his forehand, and you can hurt Rafa when you hit a really quality ball to his forehand and get him on the run. But now Rafa is off the court, but we saw how it was actually the vertical positioning that set up the lateral positioning. The vertical battle here, and again, typically in Djokovic's favor, by winning this battle first, then he could get Rafa off the court, which is typically what you think of when you think about, court positioning, is get the guy off the court, and then you have a lot of open court to hit into. And again, so this process started with the vertical positioning and not the lateral. So what would Rafa have to do here to kind of prevent this from happening? Because just, standard down the line exchange here, Djokovic is going to win most of those. Again, Djokovic has the better backhand. What I think Rafa needs to do is selectively hit backhands kind of in the middle of the court here. Not a pure cross-court shot, because what Rafa doesn't want to do is set up a forehand-to-backhand exchange, because Djokovic has a better forehand than Rafa's backhand, just like Rafa has a better forehand than Djokovic's backhand. But I like the down-the-line shot because it allows Rafa to put a little more juice on, or down the line, down the middle shot, because it allows Rafa to put a little bit more juice on the ball here versus the down the line. And that's simply because of the geometry of the court. The court's a little bit longer this away than it is down the line, and then the net's a little bit higher here than it is in the middle. So Rafa can rip these ones a little bit more. So if I'm Rafael Nadal, what I'm saying to myself, I'm being selective here, and I'm saying, during this rally, if I get a ball that I think is going to be difficult for me to hit with some authority down the line, I'm actually going to kind of go in the middle of the court, because that'll allow me to, go after it a little bit more. So that might be like lower balls. Like if there's like a backhand-to-backhand exchange and the ball's a little bit low in Rafa's strike zone, that might be a time for him to go cross-court, because he can be a little bit more aggressive. It's tricky, those low balls, really hitting him with authority down the line, because you got to get the ball up and down, shorter court, higher net. So that can be harder to do. And if you don't hit those with authority, that's when Djokovic would be able to step in and take control of the point. So any shot where, it's not, any backhand where it's not, a situation where you can really stick it down the line, send that thing a little bit cross-court. And I like this better over here than the pure cross-court, because over here, Djokovic can now get an angle and almost ensure the ball goes to Rafa's backhand. But if Rafa plays it here and Djokovic tries to go back to the backhand, less angle, Rafa has more opportunities to run around and hit a forehand in this instance. So the middle of the court it allows Rafa to control the geometry that Novak has to work with a little bit, and it'll set up more potential forehands in that instance. So that is the adjustment I would make if I'm Rafael Nadal, to make sure he holds Djokovic behind the baseline, because that is really how Rafa got hurt the last couple times they've played, is Djokovic was just able to step forward and attack the ball. And some of the other things Rafa tried, like moonballing off the backhand, kind of getting a lot of air. A lot of players back up to handle that. They don't take it on the rise. They wait for the ball to come down, so you have to back up to do that. Djokovic just stepped in, took the ball on the rise, and cracked it into the open court. So that didn't work for Rafa. This is the next maybe iteration of, or maybe the better way to say it is, this is a different type of adjustment he should make that I think would be a little bit more effective, just in the middle here with that backhand. So now let's talk about the return of serve, because this is the second key, I think, for Rafa here. Rafa's, let me rephrase that, Rafa's serve to Djokovic is super key, and specifically Rafa's first serve percentage. Because Djokovic, in my view, is the best returner on the Pro Tour, and he's very aggressive. He stands up, and what he likes to do is actually take these returns here and put them right back down the middle of the court. And when you're serving, right, you're landing inside the baseline, and then if the ball's back on top of you real quickly, that is a really hard shot to handle. I mean, it's right, you're digging it off your feet, you have no time, you might not even be back in the ready position because you're still completing your follow-through on the serve. So you're in a really bad spot there. And Djokovic was able to really hurt Rafa on a hard court with this tactic, on a clay court with this tactic. Clay, of course, the slowest surface. So now when we talk about grass, which is the fastest surface, you better believe that the tactic is going to be even more effective. So Rafa really needs to get a high first serve percentage, because if he doesn't, Djokovic is going to, be getting his teeth into a lot of Rafa's service games. And Rafa traditionally has a pretty good, high first serve percentage, but I think he needs to be super mindful about that against Djokovic, because you can just get yourself into so much trouble against him if you don't get that first serve in play. Now, when we talk about Novak serving, obviously he wants to get a high first serve percentage in play as well, but it's not as critical as it is for Rafa, because Rafa likes to back up a little bit. He gives himself some space, and he's more a player that just likes to get the ball in play and start the point, and is not really looking to hurt you from the first shot. He's like, okay, we're going to get the ball in play, I'm going to set up a point, and then I'm going to hurt you a couple shots down the road. Djokovic is just first ball, let's do it, I'm coming after you. So, Novak doesn't have quite as much pressure on his first serve as Rafa does, because Djokovic knows, okay, I'm not going to get hurt if I miss a couple first serves here and there. So with that in mind, those are the main components of this match I expect to see. Very much, like I said, looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an awesome match. I think it's going to go 5 sets. I think the quality is going to be very high. And, I was going back and forth, Rafa Djokovic, Rafa Djokovic. Who do I pick here? Rafa's the defending champ. He's playing great. He totally dismantled Murray. And the weird thing about Djokovic is the guy's been playing exceptionally well, but it was like that loss to Federer at the French kind of took the wind out of his sails, in the sense of everybody is still kind of on the bandwagon, if that makes sense. I mean, obviously Djokovic is still super confident, but that loss to Federer, everybody was kind of, it's almost like people have forgotten about Djokovic. And I know they haven't forgotten about him, but the hype surrounding him isn't nearly as high. And I think maybe the perception a little bit is that he's not playing as well as he was even just, a month and a half ago. So, I think just given the fact that Djokovic kind of has Rafa's number, I'm going to go with Djokovic in 5 sets. But this was pretty much, a coin or marker flip, because I think it's going to be very tight. I think a couple points here or there are going to decide it. So, again, super excited. Please let me know. That's weird enunciation. Please let me know what you think of this analysis in the comments below. Please let me know what you think is going to happen with the match. So thanks for watching this video. I enjoyed putting it together for you, and I will see you guys in the next video.